Hello anybody, and thanks for tuning in to Monday Morning Handicapping. This is a 2025 Kentucky Derby Contenders edition, and in this video I'm going to be taking a look at one of the contenders for the upcoming Kentucky Derby this Saturday. This horse's name is American Promise, who is sired by Justify. His father is Justify, whose dam or mother is a horse named Tapella by Tappet, so Tappet is the father of Tapella. The trainer is Dean Wayne Lucas, and the jockey is Nick Juarez. So here's just a quick look at some of the Kentucky Derby prospects or contenders that I've covered already. Here's the video number, followed by the horse's name, followed by the date they were published. So many of these horses have had multiple races since I published those videos, but you can go back and take a look at some of these runners. Some of them will be in the Kentucky Derby. Some of them have fallen off the Kentucky Derby trail, but will be racing on a future date. So if you want to just get a little bit of insight into any of these runners, whether for the Kentucky Derby or another race, and find out what their proclivities are and maybe give you an edge when it comes to their next race, feel free to go take a look at those. But for now, we're going to continue on with American Promise. Starting off with the pedigree of American Promise, his sire or father was a horse named Justify. Justify had 6 career races, 6 wins. He was undefeated, earned $3.8 million in his racing career. In route races, so a mile or greater, Justify had 5 route races, and of course a Kentucky Derby is a route going a mile and a quarter. Justify was 5 for 5 in route races, including the Santa Anita Derby and the Triple Crown in 2018. And of course the Triple Crown is the Kentucky Derby, followed by the Preakness Stakes, followed by the Belmont Stakes. Justify was purchased for $500,000 as a yearling, was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 2024, won 2 Eclipse Awards in 2018 for Horse of the Year as well as Champion 3-Year-Old Colt. And the Eclipse Awards are end of the year awards given out to horses and trainers and owners in the industry just to highlight their success and or contributions to the game and the industry as a whole. Justify's breeding rights were purchased for a record $75 million by Coolmore Stud. Justify's stud career since 2019, his current stud fee is $250,000, so if you have a female horse and want to breed to Justify, it's going to cost you $250,000. Justify has produced 26 $1 million career earners in his short stud career, has produced 7 Grade 1 winners, and Grade 1 races, of course, are the top level of racing. Has yet to produce a Kentucky Derby winner as of now, but he's only been in the stud farm for about 6 years now, so give it time. The dam of American Promise, or mother, was a horse named Tapella. She had 8 career races, 2 wins, 2 seconds, and a third, earned $150,000 in her career. She was purchased for $750,000 as a yearling, and to spend that much on a horse just indicates to me that she's very well bred, very promising. And let's just make a note that she was purchased for $250,000 more than Justify, just to put it in perspective. Tapella broke her maiden routing on the dirt in her 3rd career start, so again, a route is a mile or more. Her first start was a 6 furlong sprint, then she went to a mile and an 1/8 race, and finally won her first race at the distance of 1 mile or 8 furlongs. Remember, a furlong is an 1/8 of a mile. Her only other win was an allowance race at 8 furlongs in her next start after breaking her maiden, which was her 4th career start. She ran 4th in the 9 furlong or mile and an 1/8 Grade 3 Comely Stakes next time out in her 5th start. So perhaps not graded stakes quality in her very young career. Maybe she could have blossomed into something more, but they took her out of racing after 8 races and put her in the breeding shed. The dam sire of American Promise, or the father of the mother, was a horse named Tappet. Tappet had 6 career races, 3 wins, and a little over $500,000 in career earnings. His best races were between 8 and 9 furlongs, so a mile to about a mile and an 1/8. Was a winner at the Grade 1 and Grade 3 level. Finished 9th in the 2004 Kentucky Derby, and that's nothing to scoff at. The Kentucky Derby is just full of the top 3-year-olds. It takes a really talented horse with a lot of luck to win the Kentucky Derby, so just getting to the starting gate is an achievement in and of itself. So to finish 9th, it may sound bad, but it's not a huge knock. Tappet's stud career since 2006 is the sire of 33 Grade 1 winners. It's the sire of Flightline, and for anyone who's unfamiliar with Flightline, go check out this horse's recent but brief career. A lot of people have posited the question that maybe he's the greatest racehorse in a generation. A very short career, but his wins were dominant and he was very exceptional. So anyone who's not familiar with Flightline, go check those out after this video, of course. Sire of 40 yearlings that have reached over $1 million at auction, so a lot of Tapit's progeny are demanding a very high price at auction. Most progeny earnings for any sire in North America, so his offspring are just earning money on the racetrack left and right. Tapit was a 3-time champion sire and only top 5 sire from each year between 2010 and 2023. Taking a look at the connections of American Promise, trainer is D. Wayne Lucas, aged 89, a career win rate of 16% from 30,000 starters, graded stakes win rate of 9% from 1,100 starters. He began training racehorses in 1968, was inducted into the Hall of Fame in 1999, 4-time winner of the Eclipse Award for Outstanding Trainer in 1985, 86, 87, and 1994. In the Kentucky Derby, D. Wayne Lucas has 4 wins, a 2nd, and 3 5th place finishes. He has the record for most Triple Crown Series victories. Again, that's the Kentucky Derby, Preakness Stakes, and Belmont Stakes with 14 victories. Has the record for most Breeders' Cup race victories with 20. Over to the jockey, Nick Juarez, a career win rate of 14% from 7,100 starters, a graded stakes win rate of 8% from 127 starters, so really doesn't have too many graded stakes mounts as of yet. Has had less than 500 mounts per year for the past 5 years. 2017 was his best year in terms of earnings as well as number of mounts. And just something I found that I would share with everybody. In the YouTube video titled below, former jockey Gary Stevens indicated that trainer D. Wayne Lucas is very loyal to his riders and likes to give young riders a chance. So until further notice, it would appear that Nick Juarez will retain the mount aboard American Promise in the Kentucky Derby. Even though Nick Juarez isn't a household name and not winning the highest level of graded stakes as of yet, maybe he can turn that around and improve and get on the right horse, but as of now, just not well known as a graded stakes dominating jockey. American Promise as of April 25th, 2025. He has 9 career races, 2 wins, a 2nd, and a 3rd, with $445,000 in career earnings. His morning line is set at 30-1 odds to win the 2025 Kentucky Derby. Now, those odds could change up or down depending on the betting, but the projected odds are set at 30-1 for American Promise to win. He currently has 55 Kentucky Derby points, ranked 15th out of 20 that entered the starting gate, which he earned with a 1st place finish in the 9 furlong Virginia Derby and a 5th place finish in the 8.5 furlong Grade 2 Risen Star Stakes. So why American Promise? Well, first and foremost, some viewers reached out after my last video on Final Gambit where I said time was running short, so if there are any other contender requests, make it quick, and I got a couple for American Promise, so I thought I would throw this out there. The field is set, so I wanted to look at some additional runners. Has a strong pedigree for longer distances. Again, is sired by Triple Crown winner and champion horse Justify. With an eye-catching performance last time out, this horse looks ready to be an early pace factor in the Kentucky Derby and just might be improving at the ideal time to run a really big race. So American Promise's career, for the sake of time, I will briefly summarize his first 5 races before breaking his maiden, and then I will go into my usual breakdown with video replays. So if you take a look at his career, his very first race at the bottom with his most recent race up at top, here's the dates those races were run, here's the race number, the race type, but over here's the finish, and you see his first 5 races, he doesn't win, and then his 6th race, he does win. So I'm just going to briefly summarize these first 5 races where he did not win, and then we will start the typical video replay, starting with his maiden win, his very first ever win, and then focus on these last 4 races, a little bit of recency bias. So his debut race, July 27, 2024 at Saratoga. Just going to go over some notes and look at a couple of the other horses in the race. Down at the bottom, I added his running line. So on the far left, you'll see the number horse he was. His name, of course, where he broke. So he broke 9th in a field of 10 at this time, so broke towards the back. And these are his positions throughout the race, pretty much a quarter mile, half mile into the race, entering the stretch and the eventual finish. So he broke 9th, was in 8th place early by 7 3/4 lengths off of the leader. A little further into the race, he was 10th place by 10 1/2 lengths off of the leader. A little further down the race, entering the stretch, he was 7th place by 13 1/2 and eventually finished 6th place by 13 lengths of the leader. So that's how you can read these when you look at them. I'm not going to go over them every time, but they will be at the bottom of the screen for you to just kind of glance at to gain a sense of how he ran throughout the race. But here we go. His first race, 6.5 furlongs on a fast dirt track at Saratoga, jockey Joel Rosario. He broke slowly from post number 2 of 10. There were some scratches, so he moved to post number 2. He was squeezed at the start, meaning a couple other horses got in his way right after the gates opened. Pushed back to last early. He was about 7 lengths behind the leader early on. Hand urged by the jockey throughout most of the race to pick it up and get closer. Checked slightly around the far turn, and check just means he was somewhat cut off by another horse. Moved to the outside entering the stretch, so going a little bit wide as they straightened out. Made up no ground on the leaders, but also wasn't really losing ground, just kind of running the same speed as the leader who was well ahead of him. Finishes 6th by 13 lengths at odds of 17-1, so wasn't really expected to win the race. But some of the others in the race, the first place finisher, Chancer McPatrick, was once a highly regarded Kentucky Derby hopeful. Again, this was early in his career, had a big performance this day, so people were hoping that he would run in the Kentucky Derby, but it just didn't pan out. The 5th place finisher, Tiztastic, will be entered into the Kentucky Derby with morning line odds of 20-1 after a win in the Louisiana Derby. 6th place finisher, American Promise, debut race, showed little but forgivable first time racing. Second race, August 29, 2024 at Saratoga. 8 furlongs, so 1 mile, going around 2 turns this time. Fast dirt track at Saratoga. New jockey Manny Franco aboard. Breaks slightly inward from post number 1 of 9 horses in the race. Makes the lead early on. Challenge for the lead halfway down the backstretch, so was getting a little bit of pressure. He was second by about 1 length entering that far turn. Passed by the horse that took the lead from him, but couldn't outrun the other closers. So a horse came up, challenged him for the lead, took the lead. American Promise let him go by, and then American Promise ended up passing him in the stretch, but some of those closers passed by those 2 front runners that were just getting a little too tired late. Stayed on well enough in the stretch, so wasn't losing a ton of ground, was fighting on. Finishes 3rd by 6.5 lengths at odds of 6-1. Some of the others in this race, the first place finisher, a horse named Filoso, 5 career starts, that was his only win, and has a 3rd place finish, so not a superstar. Second place finisher, Spurgeon, 8 career starts, no wins, that was his only 2nd and no 3rds, so not a superstar. 3rd place finisher, American Promise, improved 2nd start, ran better going a mile and showed route speed. 3rd race, September 27th, 2024 at Churchill Downs, so new track. 8 furlongs again on a sloppy dirt track, so maybe he'll run a little different, better or worse on a sloppy track, we'll see. At Churchill Downs, which is where the Kentucky Derby will be run, so it's nice that he's gaining some experience on the track. Another new jockey, Christian Torres, breaks slightly inward from post number 5 of 11, settles mid-pack by about 6 lengths down the backstretch, so 6 lengths off of the leader. Slight traffic before the far turn, inch closer to within 2.5 lengths of the leader by the time they got to the far turn. Was not heavily urged throughout the turn or entering the stretch, so the jockey wasn't really pushing the horse to gain on the leaders. Stayed on well regardless, even though the jockey wasn't asking him to pick it up. Finishes 8th by 5.5 lengths at odds of 3-1, so getting bet down in each race. Some of the others in the race, the first place finisher, a horse named Extradition, 7 career starts, that was his only win in 2 seconds. Again, not a superstar, but again, these are maiden races. Maiden races are for horses that have never won, so no horse in the entire field of maiden races have ever won a race. Second place finisher, Shogun, 10 career starts, 0 wins, 2 seconds and 3/3. So still a maiden. I should note that these stats are for the horse's career, not just as of the race that we're looking at, but since then, their total career combined up to this date. Third place finisher, a horse named Publisher, 7 career starts, no wins, 2 seconds and 3/3. Although he is still a maiden, he has earned a spot in the Kentucky Derby with morning line odds of 20-1 and looks to be a respected closer, having finished 2nd in the Grade 1 Arkansas Derby. So we do have a maiden horse in the Kentucky Derby, looking for his first ever win in the Kentucky Derby. Sounds like a tall order, but his morning line odds are set at 20-1, whereas American Promise's morning line odds are 30-1. Fourth race, October 27th, 2024, again at Churchill Downs. Going a little bit further, 8.5 furlongs, so a mile and a 16th on a fast dirt track this time at Churchill Downs. Again, new jockey, Luis Saez. Breaks with slight hesitation from post number 8 of 11. Sits in second place by about 1 length back, going 4 wide into the first turn. So when you go wide around turns, obviously you're running a further distance of ground. And rule of thumb is for every path that you're out wide, if you're in the 1 path, that's the shortest possible distance around. If you're in the 2 path, path around a turn, you are running by rule of thumb 1 horse length further distance for each turn that you run that much wider around a track. So to go 4 wide around 1 turn, he's running 4 horse lengths further distance than the horse down on the rail. If he does that around both turns, he's running 8 horse lengths further than the horse down on the rail. So it's important to be down near the rail when possible. While on a slight hold, meaning the jockey's holding on tight to the reins, not letting the horse run as fast as he possibly can, trying to get the horse to settle down and just maintain his speed. He gets on terms with the leader entering the backstretch, so it seemed like the jockey wanted him to creep up maybe a little bit slower, but the horse wanted to go. Enters the stretch with a short lead, about 4 to 5 wide, so again, going wide around both turns, running a further distance of ground. Loses by a half length to a pace stalker that rode the rail around both turns. So again, that's where that horse that eventually won rode the rail, running a shorter distance. And this horse only lost by a half length to that horse that got the rail trip. And they were 2.5 lengths clear of the 3rd place finisher. Finishes second by a half length at odds of 3 to 1 and was clearly second best horse this day. The others, first place finisher, Render Judgment, that got that pretty rail trip. 7 career starts, 1 wins, 2 seconds, and a third. Will be in the Kentucky Derby with morning line odds set at 30 to 1 after a couple of defections. So Render Judgment was about the 22nd horse, I think, to enter the Kentucky Derby. So he needed 2 horses to scratch out of the race. That happened, so now Render Judgment will be in the Kentucky Derby. American Promise showed more ability rating near the lead. Rating just means the jockey's telling the horse just to run at one comfortable tempo and not go too fast all out to get the lead and just sit right off of the leaders running one even tempo. The horse did that and was able to run a really good race, but just got beat by a horse that saved much more ground than American Promise. 3rd place finisher, limited edition, 4 career starts as of now, 0 wins, a second and a third. 5th race, November 30th, 2024 at Churchill Downs yet again. That's 3 in a row at Churchill Downs. 8.5 furlongs yet again, 1 mile and a 16th on a fast dirt track, Churchill Downs. Jockey Luis Saez breaks well from post number 4 of 11. Jockey hustles him to the lead by 3/4 of a length, going too wide into the first turn. So only 3/4 of a length in front of the 2nd place horse and down a lot closer to the rail this time around. Going quickly on a hold, again, the jockey trying to restrain and save some of that stamina for later in the race. Neck and neck down the backstretch, so getting pressure from another horse to contend for the lead. Ahead of 3rd place runner by 3 lengths, so 2 horses well clear the rest of the horses. And a 4-way battle for the lead entering the stretch, 2 to 3 wide. So when they turned for home, it looked like 4 different horses were going to run off for the win. Hard to say who at this point, but he was in a 4-way battle entering the stretch. Battled gamely throughout the stretch with a little bit of bumping. Very game effort after doing the dirty work early. And dirty work just means setting the fractions early, battling with another horse, doing the dirty work. Finishes 4th by a length and a half at odds of 5 to 2. Some of the others in this race, 1st place finisher, Monet's Magic, 8 career starts, 2 wins and a third, so a decent horse here. 2nd place finisher, Kalahari Dreams, 6 career starts, no wins, 4 seconds, no thirds. 3rd place finisher, Burnham Square, 6 career starts, 3 wins, a second and a third. This horse will be in the Kentucky Derby with morning line odds of 12 to 1 after a win in the Bluegrass Stakes. So here, the 6th race, the first race that American Promise wins, so we will be going over the notes, watch the replay, and then looking at the others. To a new track, Oaklawn Park, December 29, 2024. 8.5 furlongs, 1 mile and a 16th on a muddy dirt track, Oaklawn Park. Jockey Tyler Bacon, a new jockey, breaks well from post number 1 of 8, gets the lead by a half length entering the first turn, rides the rail through the whole race, so saving all the ground, cruises on the lead, setting honest fractions. Honest fractions just meaning fast enough to where you could forgive the horse for slowing down later in the race, just getting a little bit tired, but that's what honest fractions typically indicates. Improved nicely to win comfortably, so setting honest fractions, and held on to win. Finishes first by a length and a half at odds of 5 to 2. The top 2 finishers finished 21 lengths clear of the 3rd place finisher, so clearly a 2-horse race, and they just dominated the rest of the horses in the field. So let's go ahead and take a look at that replay now. Here we are, horse number 1 with the white blinkers on his face. Breaks cleanly. About mid-pack now, we just want to see where he's going to go. Looks like he's not going to get the lead, but the benefit of being on the inside during turns, you cut the corner, and now he's in the lead by about a half of a length. See, the jockey's just real comfortable, not urging him. Jockey's sitting pretty still. First quarter in 23.3 seconds. Those are the honest fractions I was talking about. He's got a horse right on his hip, not really letting him get a breather, not letting him slow down. Just happy with this speed, not trying to pull away. It's pulling away a little bit by about a half length now, or a full length rather. 47.28, so just under 24 seconds to the next quarter. And by rule of thumb, if you run all 24s, that's like a pretty standard measurement of how fast they're going. Anytime they run much faster than 24-second quarters, that's considered honest to me. So if you look up top, you can see the top two horses are just separating themselves from the rest of the field. 112 to the 3/4 mile mark. And here it comes. Here's the race. Everyone else is well out of it. And now it's just a stretch duel between these two. The one is running very straight, not slowing down. Looks very good. Looks like this 5 is starting to close on him. One slowing down just a bit perhaps, but then the 5 peters out and the 1 wins comfortably. And you see how far ahead they were of the 3rd place finisher. So looking at the others in the race, 1st place finisher, of course, American Promise, breaks his maiden in his 6th career start, improved nicely. 2nd place finisher, Publisher, again, 7 career starts to date, not as of this race, but to this date that I'm recording. No wins, 2 seconds, 3/3. He will be in the Kentucky Derby with morning line odds of 20-1 and had previously beaten American Promise earlier in their careers, but the tables have now turned. 3rd place finisher, Nick's Glory, again, beaten 21 lengths by those top 2 finishers. 5 career starts with only a 3rd place finish. 7th race, January 25th, 2025 at Oaklawn Park. 8.5 furlongs on a fast dirt track at Oaklawn Park. It's the Grade 3 Southwest Stakes, so a big step up from a maiden race. Jockey Tyler Bacon, he's a little antsy in the gate. Breaks slowly from post number 7 of 9. Our horse is number 8 due to the scratches, so he's the 7th horse from the rail, but our horse is number 8. 5th place by about 3 lengths and about 3 wide entering the first turn. Inches up to be within a length of the lead by the backstretch. Battles but gives way entering the stretch. I think he used up too much energy getting to the front around the turn and into the backstretch, facing winners for the first time. So when we watch the replay, you'll see inches up around that turn, again running wide and facing a much tougher field of horses, and that just exhausted him a little too much to win the race late. Finishes 6th by 6.5 lengths at odds of 21-1. So let's go ahead and take a look at that replay now. Our horse is number 8 with the big white blinkers on his face. See, breaks slow. He's moving around in the gate a little. Kind of hopped at the start. Looks like the jockey wants him to get a little bit forward, but because all the horses broke in front of him, he's going to have to go around and wide into this turn. See, 4 or so lengths off the leaders here. He's going to have to stay wide or he's going to run up behind these horses. You can see he's inching up to the leaders, doing it pretty comfortably, not super urged, but he's picking up speed, using some of that energy he might need later in the race. 24.11 opening quarter. So he's rushed up. He's now in 2nd. It's wide around that entire turn. So ran about 2 lengths further than this number 10 horse when you add it up by the end of the race. Battling on, so 23.7 seconds for the 2nd quarter mile. But he ran a lot faster around that first turn, so he's run about 23 second quarter miles for the first 2, 23 and change. And they are well ahead of everybody else in the race, and he's just trying to contend for this lead, not giving the 10 a break. Neither of them getting a breather, really. But now the 10 just takes off. He got the better break, got the rail trip around the turn. 8 had to use that energy to try to keep up. And he's just getting a little bit tired here. Facing tougher competition. Veers in the stretch, cuts this horse off. I believe he actually ends up getting disqualified for that. But he's battling on. He's not fading to the back, but the other horses are just running faster than him at this point. And we'll finish right there. Some of the others in this race, 1st place finisher, a horse named Speed King, 5 career starts, 2 wins, a 2nd, no 3rds, was once on the Derby trail. 2nd place finisher, Sandman, 8 career starts, 3 wins, a 2nd, and 2/3. He will be in the Kentucky Derby with morning line odds of 6-1, so one of the favorites of the race. 3rd place finisher, Tistastic, he has raced against him before, will be entered in the Kentucky Derby with morning line odds of 20-1 after a win in the Louisiana Derby. 8th race, February 15, 2025 at Fairgrounds. 9 furlongs on a fast dirt track at Fairgrounds in the Grade 2 Risen Star Stakes. Jockey Keith Asmussen broke well from post number 1 of 12. Rides the rail in 5th by 4 to 5 lengths into the first turn. Makes a move heading toward the far turn towards the loose leader who ends up running the race of his life. Runs flat down the stretch, just got a little tired. Finishes 5th by 13 lengths at odds of 12-1, but was only 3 1/4 lengths off of the 2nd place finisher who was a late closer closer. So our horse just got tired, ran pretty flat down the stretch, and the second place finisher, who was saving his energy and came running late, was only 3¼ lengths ahead of American Promise after American Promise tried to contest for that lead. So let's watch the replay. So our horse number 1 with the big white blinkers on his face yet again. Breaks clean, maybe gets a little bit bumped to the inside. This is East Avenue, by the way, who will be in the Kentucky Derby, his infamous comeback race where he does not run well here, but has run better since. Here's American Promise down on the inside. And they're just chasing this loose leader, the one who runs the race of his life, Magnitude. Here's our horse, keep my cursor on him. Honest fractions yet again, 23.5 seconds to the opening quarter. Our horse saving ground on the rail, so running a shortest possible distance. In between horses, but I wouldn't call it traffic, just nowhere really to go until there's an opening, which he seems to be moving through very comfortably and steadily right now. We can see his head at the bottom of the screen starting to pop in the screen. He's trying to contest for that lead. 23.5 seconds to the next quarter, so they're running pretty quick early. And our horse is starting to back out of it a little bit. If you look up top, remember, look for that white face mask. It makes it easier to spot. This horse the leader ran a 24-second third quarter. Just going on with it, not slowing down. Here's our horse right here in third place. Rode the rail again on both turns, so saved all the ground. Just not really gaining on the leaders, but staying on fine. Some of these horses that save their energy in the back are running on, have a little bit more stamina than our horse that tried to vie for that lead going into the far turn, but just running flat. You see how much further this horse is than the rest of the field? But if you just look at these horses, our horse is right here, was in front of them early and just got tired late. So taking a look at some of the others in this race, that first place finisher, Magnitude, 7 career starts, 3 wins and a second, was expected to be a big player in the Kentucky Derby, but was sidelined after this race due to injury. Second place finisher, Chunk of Gold, 4 career starts, 1 win, 3 seconds. He will be in the Kentucky Derby with morning line odds of 30-1. And a cool story about this horse, Chunk of Gold was purchased for only $2,500, which is very cheap in the horse racing world. So if a $2,500 horse wins the Kentucky Derby, watch out for the storylines before the Derby as well as after if he wins, even if he runs really well. Just very cool for the owners to take such a relatively cheaply purchased horse and run in the biggest race for 3-year-olds. Most recent race, March 15th, 2025 at Colonial Downs. 9 furlong fast dirt track at Colonial Downs. Jockey Nick Juarez, so new jockey, and the jockey that will be riding him in the Kentucky Derby. Break sharp from post number 1 of 7. Our horse is actually number 3 due to scratches, but the 1 and 2 scratched out, so he got moved down to the post number 1. Visually, this horse looks huge, something that caught my eye, especially compared to the leader. This horse looks huge, mature, muscular, fit. So when we watch the replay, I'm going to point out how much bigger the horse looks than the leader. Even though he starts from the inside, he moves to the outside and sits within a length of the leader, a leader that is trained by Bob Baffer and was once on the Derby trail. Gets a very clean trip to win with ease. Finished first by 7 3/4 lengths at odds of 7-1. So let's watch this race and watch the size difference of the top 2 horses. So we're down on the rail, the 3 horse, but in the 1 post position. Breaks pretty sharply. It's going out towards the front. See, he's down on the inside, but he's going to move to the outside of the 6 horse. And look at the size difference between the 3 and the 6. I almost laughed. It was kind of unbelievable just looking at it. You can see how much bigger he is. It just really caught my eye. I didn't know it, but when I watched the race, I just saw how much bigger he was than the 6. And the 6, 4-5 odds, well touted. It is a Baffert trainee, so they typically are well backed by the betting public, but I was never personally a huge fan of Getaway Car, so I did not pick him in this race. I actually didn't play the race, but here they go. 23 seconds to the opening quarter. It is a 1-turn race, so they typically run it further, even though it is a mile and a 16th. And he's just sitting comfortably. This is where he's rating, just sitting right off of the leaders, and I hope he can do this in the Kentucky Derby. And just gets out ahead of Getaway Car, the 4-5 favorite. Again, going wider than Getaway Car, so he's running about a length or 2 further than Getaway Car by going wider. Jockey on number 3, American Promise, just not even moving. Horse is just taking the lead with ease. Now the jockey's arm's starting to go. The whip is out. Let's see if he can continue on. Very fast fractions. Jockey's asking him to go, and he is responding. Looks a little unsure a minute ago, but he's just taking off from the rest of the field. No one else holding a candle. And just winning with ease. definitely an improving horse and is going to need to win his next race in the Kentucky Derby. So some of the others in this race, first place finisher, American Promise, ran great on a speed favoring track. And again, he won his first race on a sloppy track, so he's got a great race on a fast track and a win on the sloppy track, so whatever may come probably won't bother this horse. Second place finisher, Render Judgment, 7 career starts, a win, 2 seconds and a third, will be in the Kentucky Derby with morning line odds set at 30-1 after a couple of defections. And remember, Render Judgment beat American Promise when he got that rail saving trip when American Promise ran wide around both turns, so the tables have been turned on Render Judgment. Third place finisher, Omaha, 8 career starts, 2 wins, a second and 3/3. So a talented horse there as well, and he blew the doors off of both of them. So that's all the races for American Promise. Now time for the positives and negatives. The positives, sired by Triple Crown winner Justify, routing pedigree on both sides, has won on both a muddy and a fast dirt track. His sire Justify won the Kentucky Derby and Preakness on sloppy tracks and won the Belmont Stakes on a fast track. So if the pedigree means anything, American Promise might not care what track condition the Kentucky Derby is run on. He's trained by a veteran trainer with 4 wins and 10 top 3 finishes in the Kentucky Derby, as well as the record for most Triple Crown Series victories with 14. Has 3 races over the Churchill Downs track during his 2-year-old season, so the horse should not be spooked by any of the surroundings of Churchill Downs, is a little bit familiar with the track at least. Has fared well against other horses that will be entered in the Kentucky Derby, so his talent level certainly fits, and judging by his most recent race, has improved tremendously. Has the most racing experience in the Kentucky Derby field with 9 career starts on 5 different tracks heading into the Kentucky Derby, so just a well-seasoned horse with lots of experience. Has drawn post position number 5 in the 2025 Kentucky Derby, and with a forwardly placed horse in post position 5, I think he will save lots of ground by being down near the rail. I will be coming out with a video on my projection for the Kentucky Derby, but him being drawn post number 5 bodes very well for his chances, I believe. Now I had to find some negatives. Current jockey Nick Juarez has yet to become a top grade 1 rider, and yes, I know it is horse dependent, but bottom line is he is not a top grade 1 rider as of now for whatever reason. Hasn't got the horses, not enough trainers are picking him to ride their top horses, but he's just a cut below as of now. Now the jockey could improve, and I hope he does for his sake, but as of now, just not a top grade 1 rider. Horse looks to be either a front runner or stalking the leader, and on paper it looks like there will be enough speed in the Kentucky Derby to take a toll on the front end. So American Promise, it looks like he can rate pretty well, but if he is too close to a really fast pace in the Kentucky Derby going 1.25 miles, his pedigree to handle the distance is going to have to kick in, because it could go really fast, and if he wants to sit really close, that could just take a toll in a field where it looks like there's going to be a lot of highly backed and highly respected closers in the race going a further distance. Has had 7 different jockeys in his 9-race career. Hope that Nick Juarez knows the horse well enough after just 1 race aboard him. So I hope that him and the horse are in simpatico and can give him a top effort. Has shown anxiety in the gate, some slow starts and some veering in after the break as well as in the stretch. So he's going to need to run straight and professionally throughout the biggest race of the year. Will need a clean break in the 20-horse field just to avoid any trouble and get into a good position for his running style. Here's a list of my rankings of the prospects that I've covered. This isn't for all the horses in the Derby, but just for horses that I've done videos on. And I'm placing American Promise in 3rd out of all the horses that I've covered so far. He's well seasoned and conditioned, can stalk the leaders and avoid trouble. I don't think he's going to need the lead, but I think he can stalk those leaders and then make his move entering that far turn. And I just hope that his pedigree and his seasoning kicks in and he can hold off the rest of the late running closers. I think he's got a good shot. I really like what I'm seeing from this horse. Thanks everybody for watching. That's it for American Promise. Workouts at Churchill Downs are available to see your horse on the Kentucky Derby track, so go YouTube it and take a look at the horses in the flesh on the track. Post positions were drawn yesterday and the morning line odds are out now, so if you want to see which gate that your horse is breaking from and the projected odds that they're going to go off at to win, those are available now. There is an interview or two of trainer Dwayne Lucas talking about this runner as of late. I've listened to him. It's just kind of interesting, and you can find interviews for any horse that you like, but go ahead and start seeking those out. There's going to be a lot of Derby talk and podcasts out this week, so tons of information coming your way if you know where to look. But anyways, thanks to everybody for watching. Feedback is appreciated, whether positive, negative, any suggestions or recommendations. I appreciate anybody who likes, subscribes, and or shares with friends. Again, I'm trying to talk to a newer audience of horse racing, so I try to explain things simply so that everybody can understand, but with great detail. If you go back in this playlist and check out video number 0, I have a Kentucky Derby race pace and track profile for more information about how the previous 11 Kentucky Derby races were run and won. The target audience again is for folks that are relatively new to the sport, so if you know anybody that might be interested or catching Derby fever, share my playlist, How to Read a Racing Form. I think it's a 10-part series where I break down each component of the racing form, talk about what it's telling you and just how to decipher it and what it all means. I know the racing form can be daunting for new players, but when you break it down, it's pretty simple and straightforward, and it's there to help the player. I also have a playlist called Betting on Horse Racing. That's where I talk about each individual bet that a track offers, explain what it means, how much it costs based on what your ticket structure is, and also how I like to place each wager depending on what I'm seeing in the racing form. So I think both of those playlists are very beneficial to players that are new to the game. But again, I want to thank everybody for watching, getting lots of good feedback, and I appreciate the request to cover this horse. I'm glad I did because I think there's a lot going for this horse. So thanks everybody for watching, and I'll see you next time.